Hi, relevant community. The last few Sundays we've been talking about open faith and open religion. And in the light of the coronavirus, I thought it would be a good idea to chat a bit about how we see God in this time with this crisis we have been experiencing. So 2 nights ago, I was standing in a grocery store where I heard two guys talking about the end of times and the end of the earth with all the stuff we've been doing wrong, and God is punishing us for all the stuff we've been doing wrong with the fires in Australia, with the locusts in Africa, and the coronavirus here all around the world. And I thought to myself that this is a cultural perspective about how we view God. God as the punisher, God as the one sitting upstairs waiting to push a button to make us suffer for the stuff we've been doing wrong. And I thought it's good to talk a bit about that today, a bit about how we view God and how we view God in an open way, and how we view God in the midst of this crisis. So I heard the two guys speaking about a Bible text, 2 Chronicles 7, where Solomon receives a vision, or God speaks to Solomon, and he hears all this stuff about how God will punish them if they go off track. And the guy said in the grocery store that this is what's happening now. All the locusts and all the fires and all the coronavirus is God's way of punishing us. The first thing I want to say about that is that I think we must acknowledge the fact that the Bible is written out of a cultural perspective from the ancient times as well. Throughout the Christian tradition, we've been seeing God throughout our culture. And in terms of apartheid, we here in South Africa justified apartheid through the Bible, and we viewed God as the God that was part of segregation and putting people aside. With the Crusades, throughout the Christian tradition, we've also viewed God as the one who punishes those that don't believe in Him, those that do wrong in His name. So, throughout a cultural perspective, we must acknowledge the fact that we view the Bible and we see God in the light of our culture. And nowadays, with the drought in Cape Town 2 years ago, people have been saying that God was closing the taps to let the people come back to the water source, and that source was God. So for all the wrong stuff we've been doing, He's closing the taps to get us back to Him. And I think that's what's happening now again. With the coronavirus, everyone's saying that this is God's way of getting us back to Him. And I just can't view God in that light, because I don't think God is a God that punishes us in this way, or would be so sadistic to do this to humanity just to get them back to Him. So I thought it best to speak a bit about 2 Chronicles 7 and what it means, what Solomon was experiencing. And throughout the context of Chronicles and Israel's context, you would see that God is nearing Israel every time. With Solomon here, him and the Israelites are making the temple ready for God, to bring God an offering, and God comes and devours that offering with fire. So God nears the Israelites. He approaches the Israelites again. And just after it, this thing happens in 2 Chronicles 7, where God tells Solomon that if my people strays from my path, this will happen. And he says this from verse 12, 2 Chronicles verse 12. He says, "Then the Lord appeared to Solomon in the night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen the place for myself as a house of sacrifice. When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command the locusts to devour the land, or send pestilence among my people, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, and then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayer that is made in this place." So God is talking about the temple, and He's telling Solomon that if my people stray from the path and stop praying to me, that all this bad stuff would happen. And in the ancient times, the culture was there wasn't any medicine, any antibiotics, any form of medicine. So pestilence was a general thing in the ancient times. Everyone got sick. Some people died. Even locusts normally came and devoured the lands and the crops. Why? Because we didn't have the agricultural machinery or the chemicals we do now. And people experienced drought on a regular basis because the land they lived in didn't have enough water sources or anything like that. So in the cultural context of Israel in this place, it's normal what they are experiencing. And the first thing they try to do every time is they try to connect the bad things that happen to them with God. They try to tell people that if we do wrong, this is what happens, or God is trying to punish us in this certain way. And I think the thing I see in Israel's story is God approaches them every time. Even though they try to connect him to all the locusts and the viruses and the bad things that happen to them, God is coming with fire and devouring their offerings. God is guiding them through the desert. God is leading them to the place they need to be in. So it's sort of like God is approaching them, sitting with them in their horrible state, in the viruses they are experiencing, in the locusts coming to devour their fields. God is still there. God is approaching them. And this is the message I want to give to you today. It's just that we must be wary to connect God to the bad things that's happening around us, to the virus, the coronavirus happening, the drought we've been experiencing in Cape Town and all around the world, the fires in Australia, the locusts in Africa. We must be wary to connect God to these things and rather be open to say that God is here amidst the worst things that we have been experiencing. The coronavirus is bad, and I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that the fires in Australia and all the bad things that has been happening around the world is not bad. And the thing we just shouldn't do is just not connect God to it. Not say that this is some sort of form of punishment that we are experiencing from God for all the wrong we've been doing. Rather just say that God is here, and He is here in our suffering. And in this time of Lent in the church, this is a good time to think a bit about Jesus and the cross and the way Jesus came to earth to be with us in the suffering, in amidst all the pain and the horror we have been experiencing here throughout humanity. So that's the message I want to leave you with today, is be open not to make God the reason, but rather make God the solution. In this time of crisis, I urge you to help your neighbors, to keep your social distancing, as we've heard for the coronavirus, to help the elderly that can't go buy the groceries, and to show love in a Christian way, but not to tell people that this is God's way of showing the world that we are wrong, we are punished, and He's trying to get us back to Him. I don't see God as the old man upstairs pressing the buttons to punish us for the wrong we've been doing. God is here, God is amidst us, God is helping us through this crisis. Just be open to experience God and to love God in a way so that people experience God's help rather than His wrath in this time.